Alright, welcome folks. This is Moontime Dweller. I'm going to be playing some Simic Merfolk back for y'all. I played a league earlier today, just a few hours ago, and did pretty well in it. Went 4-1, and I figured I'd do the replay and a little bit of a deck tech beforehand for y'all. This video is brought to you by Mana Traders and One Lion CBD. I've got a promo code for Mana Traders. It is moon_6R4. You get 20% off your first 3 months of your subscription. Alright, let's see if I can get working here. Alright, hey everybody. So, this is the Simic Merfolk deck that I used in a modern league this afternoon. And I'm hoping my microphone's working. Yep, looks like it is. Alright, so I went for 4 Botanical Sanctums, 2 Caverns, 7 Lucky 7 Islands, a set of Mutavaults, and just 3 Waterlogged Groves, because they end up being pretty costly in the end, and 3 cards, 1 card difference to draw is really not a big difference to me. Got a set of Aether Vials like normal. Just about any tribal deck has that. I love Kamena Speaker, but I did cut out Curse Catcher. Got a set of Spreading Seas, 8 Lords, actually 12 Lords. Oh, excuse me, 16 Lords. 2 Brazen Borrowers, a set of Force Negations, and 2 Dismembers with a set of Tricksters. 2 Grafdigger's Cages. There's a lot of Dredge and Storm and control decks that are playing Snapcaster and things like that. Prowess gets hit by it with the Lava Dart and other cards that come from the graveyard, and there's so many good cards for that. What's that deck with Gristlebrand that everybody plays, that everybody played last summer? I can't remember what it is, but it's like a turn 1 win, but Grafdigger's Cage pretty much shuts it down. And Echoing Truth is something that I've put in again. Some people aren't really fans of it, but I really enjoy it a lot because you're seeing a lot of Field of the Dead tokens. You're seeing, Young Pyromancer tokens. Again, Storm Goblin tokens. Was it those Construct tokens from Artifact decks? There are all kinds of different things coming in with that, and then it can bounce Planeswalkers too. So I enjoy Echoing Truth. I use 3 Deprives. I was not a fan of that card at first because of the whole slowing down with the land, but with so many Lords and the Aether Vials, I actually found out the hard way just by trying them. And Deprive is a very, very good card. It counters anything. So if Force of Negation for some reason is not so good in your matchup, you can bring in Deprive, or it's a good supplemental counter if you want to take out Spreading Seas against a counter deck or something like that. Kira is something that I like to put in. It's really just a personal thing that I usually have in my paper sideboard and online, just because I see a lot of Jund and just a lot of spot removal, Path to Exile and things like that. So that's what leads into the next set of cards is Chalice. Chalice on 1 is really good if you can set off against like a Delver deck or something like that. You can get that, or again like some kind of Storm deck or an Artifact deck where you can put it on 0. Chalice usually only comes out on 0 or 1, maybe 2 sometimes, because we can get around it with our Caverns and the Vials, pretty easily. But it's a pretty straightforward, 60 and pretty easy 15 sideboard to understand. So that's why I went ahead and went forward and just wanted to have some fun. So this was the first match here. All right. So I can't remember the exact order of what I played against, so this is really going to be kind of me playing through it again for y'all and commentating it. So I played Kamena Speaker on turn 1. Really was just rushing them out, and was hoping to get a second island or some kind of blue land to be able to play a Reejerey or a Lord next turn. I think I would go for Reejerey normally in this kind of situation. I believe it just keeps playing, right? Yeah. Okay. In one of the matches, I remember later on, I actually I got 3 Comena speakers early on, and was just activating Mutavault for 3 turns, and I just beat them down like that, and I think I won one of the games. So we're gonna see which game that is. I don't think it was this early on, but it could have been. Oh yeah, see, this is what I was talking about with Field of the Dead. I'm not really sure, what color deck this is. I think it's, I can't remember if it's 5 color or not. But yeah, I mean, I'm just beating them down here. This actually might be the game. I can't remember. Yeah, because here's the, that was the 3rd speaker in my hand right there. Hope everybody's having a good week. I know a hurricane hit the middle of the country in the New Orleans area and Lake Charles area. I hope everybody living down there is doing okay. I've lived in the Carolinas area for many years before I moved up to Virginia from where I grew up, and man, I have lived through many hurricanes, and I don't think I've ever been through one as bad as that one. Gosh. I really hope everybody's doing okay out there. So the opponent really was struggling here. I think they just had to discard a Euro, and I was, yeah, this might be the game I was remembering, because I just beat them down for another 6, and I think they go on ahead and quit the next turn. I'm not sure, because I think they just don't get another land, and they just move on. Yeah, I'm real happy with some of these Horizon lands. I tell you that it's really helped the burn deck, and this deck it helps out a lot. And I don't know if I've really seen the silent clearing and the peatland so much. I see the peatland in Legacy more often than not. Okay, so yeah, they just quit this game right here, and so I'll start game 2 here. And if you were paying attention there, there's a game 3, so it's pretty sure I lose this game, right? But I did get a Grafdigger's Cage, and I did want to get Vial out first, because then you can get it up to Lord status, Lord status I call it, but up to the 2 counters sooner, and they're not going to get anything from the graveyard on their second turn, I don't think. They might be able to cast a Euro if they had, a Noble Hierarch or some way to ramp, but they didn't even have that. And I doubt they would bring anything from their graveyard anyway. So I'm looking at playing the Grafdigger's Cage on turn 2, if not turn 3. After, or being able to hold up for an Echoing Truth or play Spreading Seas on the same turn, and then I can also Aether Vial in the Merfolk Mistbinder. This deck is kind of confused for an aggro deck a lot of times, but it's more tempo than anything else. And with tempo decks, you want to be playing during your opponent's turn and throwing them off as much as possible. And Merfolk kind of need that sneakiness to pull off some wins here. 7th edition Lord of Atlantis. I tell you, I rent from Mana Traders usually, and almost every time I rent a version of Merfolk, I get the 7th edition Lord of Atlantis, and I love it. Those are pretty difficult to find in paper, I think, especially in foil. But I think I have 4th edition ones. Those are pretty nice, and they're not very valuable, but they're mine. Grafdigger's Cage has been a really good addition to this deck ever since. I guess it's been reprinted in M20, was it, or maybe M21? One of the core sets. It was recently reprinted, but really appreciated that card. Relic of Progenitus was the staple in Modern Merfolk before Grafdigger's Cage, and I've tried Leyline of the Void before. It's pretty good sometimes. You know, if you're in a really heavy graveyard centric metagame, or your local store. Oh yeah, if you're playing against Jund and whatever else all the time, you know, and Dredge and you know, Reanimator, and was it like Goryo's Vengeance and, you know, Sneak Attack and things like that. Oh yeah, I would absolutely play Leyline of the Void. But they're just hitting double remand on the same Merfolk Mistbinder here. So I think I end up just bringing it in with the Vial. I'm not sure if I do it on my turn or not, but I thought that was pretty funny that they countered the same creature twice. This Mystic Sanctuary, I think this just got banned in Pauper. I'm not sure, but boy, that card is brutal in Pauper. Because they bring back just outright counterspell back to the top of their library, you know, up to 4 times in a game, so they just have 8 counterspells. And, you know, that's not fair, is it? Alright, so there's another Field of the Dead, and they've got 4 different types of land. But I think I just end up bringing the Mistbinder in finally. 3rd time's the charm, right? I know I did miss a few times throughout this league. I made several misplays where I just forgot to activate a Vial when I totally could have and should have activated it and played a creature. But I don't know. Sometimes, you know, you're just out to lunch. And I remember in the match that I lose in this league, I got real confused somehow with the Chalice of the Void, and it kept getting bounced to my hand, and I don't know. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, but that was pretty confusing to me. So, yeah. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. I'm just, you know, I drew a second cage just in case they had like an Abrade, or, you know, maybe not a Abrade because that's red, but what do they do in green? Like something like a Naturalize, or, you know, whatever better card there is. I guess there's Nature's Claim and Natural State. I mean, I don't know. There are all kinds of different things. The Force of Vigor is good too, and that would be the biggest problem. That was the only card I was mainly worried about, is if they just cast that, you know, next time it's not their turn and they just kill both of the cages. But otherwise, I was okay with it. You know, if they just had one spot removal thing, then it would still hold it together. And I mean, this is, oh yeah, that's right. This is the one where they just got counterspells out the wazoo. I mean, they had, 3 remands in a row, and then they had a Cryptic, and I think there's another Cryptic coming up, and that's when I just say, all right, I'm finished here. What are we doing here, right? Yeah, I did end up getting my new computer set up here, and thank y'all very much for your patience. I know I haven't been posted in the last few days, but I wanted to get everything set up to my liking for a few days, and just had to get used to it. I haven't owned a PC, an actual desktop, since the 90s, and it was a real hassle getting everything together and trying to learn everything and exactly what I needed, and you know, I've been buying laptops that had, you know, the cameras built into it and the speakers built into it, and, you know, I've never had 2 monitors at the same time before. This is a brand new world to me. And the towers, I mean, good lord, the towers just about as big as I always remember them being. But it's almost like a rave party's going on in here too. I mean, I had to cut off these lights. I mean, it was these LED lights or something. I mean, boy, it was. Whew. That was wild. Alright, so I did get a little distracted here. They played a whole bunch of lands and Fact or Fiction, and they countered, yeah, then they get another Cryptic on my card here, and they just got all kinds of zombies. But now, I did hold out until the very end here. I was holding out just in case. I had the Echoing Truth in my hand, so I had the one silver bullet that will, save me for a little while and put them off for about a turn. And I was thinking maybe if they keep, sacrificing lands and taking a life, here and there, and then I, poke in for 3 and 4, I might actually get it done if I can get a perfectly timed Echoing Truth that's sitting in my hand. And just hoping they don't have like a Thoughtseize or an Inquisition of Kozilek or something. Because I think this triple land is black, right? Yeah, exactly. These are wild looking, huh? Great art. Oh, nice. Yeah, nice flavor text too. Yeah, these are cool. I haven't really kept up too much with Magic. I have in the past year or so. Since I've been sick, but I have been playing online sometimes here and there, and I think I got 150 when I was on chemo. That was funny. And so yeah, a whole bunch of zombies here, and this is I think where I pop all of the zombie tokens, or maybe it's next turn. Yeah, it's during their next turn, and then because I make sure they get as many tokens out as possible. And then there's the Jace, and I thought they were gonna Fate Seal me there just to really, well, for a lack of a better term, seal my fate. So they're attacking me here for a whole bunch, and I just bounce all these tokens and make it just 2, but they counter it with the Drown of the Lock. So that's what, the 7th or 8th counterspell that turn, or that game, I mean. Yeah, that was the end of that one. So game 3. And game 3, I kept this hand. This was a pretty solid hand for a 4-land hand, I tell you. As far as 4-land hand goes, to have 2 creature lands and a land that'll end up drawing you a card, I'm okay with that. And then 2 lords and something that'll disrupt the opponent also. That's pretty solid to me. Could be wrong. I don't think Back to Basics is in Modern. I know it's in Legacy. It was in Urza's Saga, but I think it got reprinted in that Ultimate Masters, and so it's not in Modern actually. So that's the main one I would be worried about. I mean, Choke is legal in Modern, so that's kind of the opposite end. You don't want to be playing too many basics sometimes. And Blood Moon kind of comes in and out as a fad. Every 8 months or so, it seems like, Blood Moon decks pop up just to police the format and bring down whatever combo or something is taken over and say, hey, just remember, we're around. Merfolk Mistbinder on turn 2 here. Yeah, these have been a great addition, but they are costly. This deck does considerably worse against a burn deck usually, and I was real happy not to see a burn deck. I think I did play against a Prowess deck, and that was a very difficult match. And to be honest, I can't remember the match I did lose. This is a league where I went 4-1, so this is why I'm going back and going over the matches here, and hopefully have 1 or 2 insights that help somebody along the way. So I tried to play Reedry there, and they just remanded it, and that's pretty much expected. Especially after the second game there, where they had 3 remands in a row, and then 2 cryptic commands, and then a Drown in the Lock. I mean, it was just... And I think they might have Snapcastered Cryptic, or no. I mean, maybe they do that this game. I don't know. I did see a Snapcaster in this league at some point. So I'll go down to 14 on this. Growth Spiral, 4th land, Castle Vantress. Oh, I love this card. Castle Vantress is really good. This was used in that Pioneer mono blue, while Pioneer was actually a thing. But I don't know, I guess it is coming back now because they actually banned the cards that people had been clamoring to ban for months. So I got the Deprived there, and I knew that I'd play the Reejerey and be able to untap a bunch of lands, and this is where I play both Lords, and I think this is where I made a mistake. I believe I was talking about it to myself during this time, and I played the Lord, and I think I might have played the Spreading Seas, but I should have held up the Deprive just to, guarantee here. But I don't know. Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't play Spreading Seas. I activated the Mutavault and attacked for 11. And here I could have really just attacked for 5 and been fine. Because, they're hitting Growth Spiral here, and I think I could have deprived, whatever they were going to play. If it's Primeval Titan or, I don't know, something that could be game-ending. But I think they ended up just conceding here soon anyway. Because I got him down to 3 pretty quickly. I mean, that was 5 turns, and I have 4 Lords out. And I played a 5th one, and it got killed somehow or countered. I can't remember. Yeah. So they got the Euro, and they bring themselves back up to 6. And then I think they gain more life somehow. I can't remember. Because I remember them going up to 10 maybe. But, yeah, I actually play this other Lord that... Yeah, I mean, this is a little greedy, but hey, I mean, they only have 2 lands. So even if they do have like a Fatal Push of some sort, they're getting hit pretty hard. And I even deprived. I even used Deprive on that and just crushed them hard. So that was the end of the first match, 1-0. Okay. And so second match is right here. This was a pretty sketchy hand to take. I was a little worried about it, but I've played a lot of Legacy and a lot of Burn in Legacy, and so I've taken my fair share of 1 land hands. And with this deck, if you take Aether Vial with 1 land, you're okay. You're not going to be the worst off. Sometimes, you might go 3 or 4 turns without getting a land, and that's why you play Aether Vial, though, and just hope, wish, and pray, right? And so I didn't get a second land there. But I was okay with it because I knew that I had a Dismember waiting just in case, and I would be getting at least 1 creature out the following turn with the Aether Vial. And Haggle, so yeah, I tell you, this is one of the coolest new mechanics, is this adventure. I have really been interested in any creature that has adventure on it. It is so much fun. I love Brazen Borrower and this Merchant of the Veil with Haggle on it. I mean, it's so cool that they have a totally different name and everything. Great concept. So Merfolk Mistbinder, get a Lord out, and then I'll get another one out, I think, by the end of their next turn. And this is another matchup where Grafdigger's Cage just takes over. I think in the second game, it just owns this game, because this Dredge deck has gotten a few new cards with the Escape mechanic. Escape is a cool new mechanic too, but I like Adventure a lot more. That Throne of Eldraine set was pretty sweet. I really am a fan of that. But this is a cool card too, and I love how it's been added into the Dredge, I guess, archetype. So this is another lord. I love just playing and having fun with Merfolk because I mean there's 16 hard lords, you know, and I say hard lords because Phantasmal Image is kind of a soft lord. And you know, I guess some of the other ones are soft lords, like the old ones, like Merfolk Sovereign and like Korahum Commander, because you have to upgrade him or whatever it is. Um, you know, things that become lords eventually. But these are definitely just so much fun to play. And I was just jamming them. It was just a super hot day here in Virginia, and I just was having fun in the middle of the afternoon playing this. I had gone to the DMV and spent like an hour there, you know, which is usually kind of a nightmare. And I tell you, because of COVID, they had to cut down all the appointment times and all that, and it was kind of a dream to get through that this time around. All right, so they got the ox out. What is? I can't remember how you pronounce this. Ox of Agonas. Ox of Agonas, and so I bring out. A lot of times with Aether Vial, I think I like to click always no. You can hit right click after the vial trigger comes on and it comes over here, you know, and you can right click and you can say always yes or always no. A lot of times once you get to the point where you want to stop is when you can hit no or always no, and it will help you know, just move the game along a little easier. And you know, with Merfolk, you know, once you get to 2 or 3, a lot of times you're stopping. Maybe 4, but definitely 4 if you're stopping. Maybe if you're playing EDH, I guess you can go up to like 5 or 6. But yeah, this was a great opening 7. I just had Grafdigger's Cage turn 1, and they got a Creeping Chill out. That card's really good, I tell you, because if they put 4 of them in their deck, and I mean, a lot of times they're going to see at least 2 every game. And even with Grafdigger's Cage, I believe it still hits you. Because they're not casting it from, let's see, it's put in your graveyard from your library. You may exile it. If you do, it deals 3 damage. Yeah, so you're not even casting the card. You're just, the act of bringing it from your library to the graveyard and exile eventually is what's doing the 3 damage and giving them 3 life. That card is so good. I mean, you can't even counter that. I mean, I guess you can, you know, counter the ability, kind of like stifle it somehow, but what a pain in the arse. Alright, so another Merfolk Mistfinder here. I usually like to throw that one out first before I throw out any Island Walk or Marrow Regeries, because those have, you know, secondary abilities. You know, the 8 Lords give you Island Walk, and the Regeries, of course, tap and untap things. So I really like to throw out the Mistbinders as kind of a lightning rod, and a lot of times they get hit, like right there, with specifically a lightning axe. And I've noticed here when they'd use Shriekhorn, they've reworded it here, and it actually just says mills. Target player mills 2 cards. Now they for the past, you know, 25, 26 years or whatever, they've said, you know, target player puts yada yada cards into their graveyard or into exile or whatever it is. That has wasted so much ink if that's what they've wanted to do this whole time. But it comes from the card Millstone, so, you know, it's like a lot of other cards, you know, like Fear came from that, and so many other things came from it. So I got a second Grafdigger's Cage here, and that really kind of seals it up. Again, if they have the Force of Vigor, that would shut me down. That card's really good. I think I ordered 2 of them in paper recently, and I think they were like $6 or $5 or something in paper each. I was pretty surprised by that. But Grafdigger's Cage really shuts down this kind of deck. Now they've hit me with 2 creeping chills, and they do gain a lot of life through that. And they made me mill a few cards because, you know, they don't really have a reason to mill cards out of their graveyard anymore. And so I just hit Trickster on them here and decided to crash in for 3. And then I just bring in another Regery, I think the next turn, and once the 2 Regeries are out, the game is on, because I'm playing 2 lords and untapping the lands and activating Mutavault, and I'm not even sure. I might draw another lord here after the next turn, if there even is a next turn. And the Stinkweed Imp gets tapped, and, you know, Stinkweed Imp is actually pretty good. This is a good backup, but it is a sign of a Dredge player that is desperate. When you see them casting a Stinkweed Imp, they're pretty desperate, because, I mean, granted, it does destroy whatever creature it deals damage to and the combat damage to. Whoa, look at that Pithing Needle. Or Pithing Needle. Pithing Needle, I don't know. Is it a hot needle? I don't know. If it is, then it's a Pithing Needle. Wow, that's a pretty cool art. I've never seen that before. So, I think that's what I said when I played that. Looks like kind of like a Dia de los Muertos kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. If anybody wants to leave a comment on the YouTube about that version of Pithing Needle or Pithing Needle, I'd be much appreciated to know about it. Alright, so that was the end of that game. After you playing 2 lords and untapping a bunch of lands with Mutavaults and all that, yeah, that's the end of that one. Alright, so 2-0 after that. And this is match 3 here. I remember thinking this was a pretty good hand. I'm a real sucker for Brazen Borrower, and whoops, right here, Brazen Borrower to be in my opening hand. I really enjoy seeing that, especially going in blind in game 1. I really enjoy having Brazen Borrower in the hand. So Steam Vent's down to 17, and they just bolt the Kamina Speaker. Luckily, I have his brother in hand. Oh yeah, and I remember being kind of confused because they hit me at the end of my turn with the bolt. And I was thinking, oh, wait a second. It's their turn. Yep. But yeah, in paper, I ordered the Force of Vigors because I'm playing modern Goblin Charbelcher. I've got Merfolk and Goblin Charbelcher decks in modern, and I've got Legacy Burn in paper and EDH Tribal Druids deck, and then I've got Pauper Burn, of course. You know, just because. I mean, how can you, if you have Legacy Burn, you might as well have Pauper Burn. Modern Burn's very different. So I don't have all those cards. And then I got Pauper Zombies, I believe, also. That's just a really awful deck that cost about $10 to make. And most of it was in the snow-covered swamps. Alright, so this was a control deck, and I remember thinking to myself, after they played 3 1-casting cost spells in a row, I said, oh, this is going to be a great Chalice of the Void deck. And yeah, they played. This is a Yorion deck. I ran into 2 decks like this in this league, and I believe the second matchup was the 5th matchup. But it was kind of a different build. It was like a very different approach. This was a more of a control, counter everything you play, counter burn kind of thing. And I was expecting, after they played Narset, I was expecting, some kind of Wheel of Fortune effect or something like that. But I don't know how many of those are actually in Modern anymore. But either way, I just wanted to get rid of the Narset and put them off for a turn. So I used the Brazen Borrower. I'm not sure if that was the best play. But I didn't really have much of anything else to play. I could have just held off and played Trickster the next turn, and then bounced the Narset and played Lord and, attacked for 3, I guess. But this way I could throw them off for a turn and kind of almost cast like a Time Walk, essentially. Not really, but almost. it's the closest thing you'll get in Modern, you know. So they did Path to Exile there. I think that's the promo version. That's a really cool version of Path to Exile. Other than the original art, that's probably one of my favorites. I'd say it's probably my favorite next to the original one. The original one's just too good. Field of Ruin. Ugh. What a brutal card. Always kills my Mutavaults. There you go. Speak of the devil, right? Speak of the devil. Yeah, I hope the microphone's working right. I think it's close enough to my, but I don't know if it's right here. If it's a little bit in my way from my keyboard, but we'll have to see. I'm going to start streaming after this league. This computer is quite literally 4 times faster and stronger than my 10-year-old laptop that I that I never really updated until just now. Got a Force Negation on the Archmage's Charm that was put on my Brazen Borrower. I really wanted to play the Brazen Borrower. Again, that may not have been the best play because it ended up being kind of a 3-for-1. But I wanted to get the 5 damage out, and they had just taken control of my Aether Vial, so I really didn't have anything else to do. And I was probably expecting some kind of, bolt of some sort, but I guess they didn't do it here. I can't remember how I lose this, but I think I do lose this. Yeah, Jace is pretty tough. And they did a Brainstorm right off the bat. And then they just, okay, so they drew a bolt off of the Brainstorm somehow, I'd imagine. And still, I mean, I get them down really close. I think I might get them down to like 3 or 1 or something like that at some point in this match. But then they catch me off guard here because they took control of my Aether Vial here. And keep an eye on that because they actually, I thought they were kind of making fun of me and trolling me, and they were just bringing this thing up to 5 for no, apparent reason. And little did I know, or, think far enough ahead, that Yorion was going to be coming out. Now, even though it has gotten kind of nerfed, it actually does say it in the card now, too, where you have to pay 3 to bring it, as a sorcery, at sorcery speed, from the companion area into your hand, and then you can cast it. But, all they have to do is pay 3 and bring it into their hand, and then they can Aether Vial it in. And they catch me off guard with this. And I think I mistakenly attacked with the Master of Pearl Trident here. And that didn't have Island Walk. For some reason, I guess I was thinking I had 2 Masters out, or, 2 Island Walk Lords, and I had Island Walk on both of them for some reason. And it was just a bad misplay. Maybe I was thinking that this had Island Walk or something like that, and I just went for it, and they vial in the thing and block, and that's pretty much all she wrote after that. Because then they get to do the Serum Visions activation again with that enchantment that comes back out with the Yorion, and then somehow they were able to use their life really well and hold me off. I'm not sure if that's the same art from Negate, if that's supposed to be part of the same, kind of picture, but I think it was the same set that the Negate was reprinted. I don't know, that might be the same, character was what I'm trying to get across. Okay, either way, she dead. She gone. Spreading Seas is what I drew here, and they Spreading Seas my Cavern of Souls, which was a really good play. I was not expecting them to have Spreading Seas as well. But then I thought about it, I said, oh, well, they have to have 80 cards in their deck. So, of course, they have, some kind of disruption. And that was the end of that one. After I saw the cryptic on that, I said, all right, that's the end of that. And game 2, if you're looking ahead and you're paying attention and, all that, I lose this game too, but I do well on the rest of the league, so stay tuned. I think this was just really bad beats. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a perfect player by any means, but I don't think I really did much of anything wrong here. In the first game, I probably did. I think I pointed out at least 2 big misplays that I did. And there could be others. Shoot. But this one, I think they just had me from the get-go. I think they let the Chalice come out. Yeah, because this is where I got confused. This is the match I was talking about where I put Chalice out a couple of different times, and I think they were using Teferi. What do people call it? 3 Fairy or something like that. And they spell it, or Teferi with a 3 or something like that, whatever it is. And they kept bouncing the Chalice back to my hand, and I think I got confused, and I looked at the Aether Vial, and one of my Aether Vials was on 1 or something like that, and I played Chalice on 2, and it was the same Chalice. I thought I had a second Chalice or something like that. I thought I had one already out on 1, and so I played it on 2, and I think they let it go, because, I mean, granted, they did just cast a spell that cost 2 here. For some reason, Raiden is in Magic. I didn't know I didn't know Raiden was in Magic. All right. Yeah, got a little off track there, but yeah. So they keep bouncing the Chalice over and over. I think they did it at least twice, maybe a third time, and I just played it for 2. And I mean, yeah, so they're not going to be able to play their Lightning Helix and Mana Leak and maybe like search for his counter or something like that if they have that, but I don't know. Or maybe like Snapcaster. I guess they do. A lot of these decks do have Snapcaster. And I think the other reason I played Chalice on 2 was because I had a Cavern at that time. I may not have, but I thought I did. Or at least a Vial. I knew I had a Vial, because good lord, I got 2 in my hand right here. And then they just took control of 1. And I think they actually get the Vial up to 5 again, but I was anticipating the Vial, activation with Yorion this time, but they still got me. I mean, it was a tough matchup. Yeah. Yeah, they just brought the Vial up to 3, and I mean, I was expecting maybe them to play something like a Vendilion Click or I mean, something to come out of it, but, they just kept playing Teferi and bouncing the Chalice, and I would play it again, and then I think they went to try and, they just pathed my thing, that's right, yeah. They were just getting in what they could, because they didn't have a hard counterspell for it. They just kept bouncing it and trying to get around, playing something while they could, while it was on the stack every time. It's kind of like pawning, kind of like pawning a Chalice, and then I kept buying it back, every day. And they would just get around it and play what they could while they could. So the vial does get up to 5. So there are a few more turns that go, but I've got 3 vials in my hand. I was really surprised that I got all 4 vials in 13 cards without any deck manipulation. I didn't draw any extra cards or anything. And I remember, I think they played another Teferi here, and I just said screw it, and I played 2 vials before, before dropping the other chalice. And yeah, see, this is where the cavern came out, and I said, you know what, I'm going to play chalice on 2 the next time. Yeah, this is where I guess they bounce it one more time, because I remember looking through my graveyard and, exile and everything when I had the chalice out on 2. I said, what happened with the chalice on 1? And because I was blown away when they played a bolt on me. I said, oh no. I don't know. I was just confused. I don't know what had happened. And this is where they just cast the other Teferi. Gosh, that card is so good. Woo. And it's so good that I don't think did I attack it? Yeah, I think I did attack it once, because its ultimate ability really can just take you out. I mean, that's the end of the game if they get the ultimate going. So I think I did bring it down to 3, and then I wanted to attack them after that, because I think some kind of lord comes in my hand the following turn, and I want to sneak it out. So I sneak it out and try to get 6 in. And I think they have a way around it. I'm not sure. This is actually going to help me, because I wasn't really sure what happened to the chalice either. I think they might hit it with the Teferi or maybe another Teferi, like the 3-drop one, or they bounce it somehow again. Or no, I guess never mind. Darn. So I did have a chalice on 1 and on 2. And then they played Snapcaster. And then they did Archmage's Charm. And they gained control of my other Aether Vial. So I had chalice on 1 and on 2. What happened here? Oh, okay. So they used the 5-drop Teferi. Oh, okay. So then that's how they cast their bolt. Okay. Because I put out the Lord and they bolted it. And I said, what? I was blown away by that. So what I should have done was put the second chalice on 1 for backup, kind of like I did with the Grafdigger's Cage in the Dredge matchup. It's always good to have a backup in that situation, because then only cards like Force of Vigor and something, or like a 2 of Braids or something like that can end it or take care of it. So that was the end of that match, and I'm 2-1 after that. This is great. Magic Online, I'm not really sure if this has had this great of a replay system all the time, but this is really easy and smooth. So this was the 4th matchup, and I believe this was the Prowess deck, but it's kind of an all-in Prowess deck. It's a red-blue Prowess deck. They're using some kind of Drake. It's a 2-cost Drake. It's like a 1-3 or a 1-2, and you put counters on it every time you cast a spell. Card is brutal, but nothing a Dismember can't handle, right? Everything serves Phyrexia. So the Monastery Swiftspear gets pretty big early on. What is this mountain? This is one of those full art ones, but I guess it's textless too or something. Well, it's not textless technically, but I can't remember what set that is. Alright, Fiery Islet. Oh yeah, this was a good one too. Yeah. What a great... Whoever makes cards and comes up with the names of them is very clever. Islet is a great uh, body of land that's, you know, underused, underutilized in different things, in writing and everything. um, Brought the vial up to 1 here, and this is that Drake card, or it's a fairy, I guess, right? Yeah, it's a fairy dragon, sprite dragon. Yeah, so it's just a 1/1, but it gets counters. It doesn't just get prowess like these. It doesn't just get it temporarily. This thing sticks around with and gets huge. So that's actually more of a prime target for Brazen Borrower and Echoing Truth and Venser if you have that in your deck, which is something I was missing in this 75. I was kind of pining for Venser, to tell you the truth. I think in the 5th match is when I saw Supreme Verdict for the first time in the 5th match, but it was also the second control deck that I'd seen, and control is one of my least favorite matchups. Now, granted, I might do well against it sometimes, but it's kind of a nightmare for me. I really hate it. So I'm not really sure what happened here, why it's kind of flickering. I don't know. All right, but so they sacrifice Wooded Foothills and get Steam Vent, and is it Steam Vents? Oh, it's Steam Vents. Yeah, it wouldn't be just one Steam Vent, would it? It's multiple Steam Vents. All right, so then I just trickster him down. Is it a her? Oh, I don't know. The dragon in Shrek was a girl, right? You never know. You never know. All right. So bringing 6 down to 4, and I think they might bolt something here or something, don't they? I'm not sure. No, they hit me. Yeah, I hit them down to 4, and then I think I just use the trickster. I wait for them to cast whatever spells they want, just in case they do something else. They play something else. I didn't know, so I guess in some circles this could be considered slow rolling, but when you're in a league, you're in tournament play. I mean, what can I say? All right. I'm not really sure if you can actually just keep hitting buttons and it's really interactive or not. But I'm just going to let it go because I think it ends pretty quickly here. They do get Manamorphose, and so they drew a card. This is some Masters version of it. That's not the Shadowmoor version. I remember opening a whole box of Shadowmoor when it first came out, and I got a whole bunch of Manamorphoses, and I remember looking at it thinking, man, this card is just kind of stupid. I mean, yeah, you get to draw one card, but who cares? And little did I know, it's one of the better cards now in all of Modern, and it's used in several different decks throughout all of the game, and I've used it in several different decks, and it's really fun and it's really good, and it's actually become valuable. I think it got up to be a high at like $10 or $11 each. It may be more now, but it could be less. I think it's less now. It's probably leveled off at like 5 or 6 each. But man, I remember I probably had 10 or 12 of them from the box that I opened. But that was 2009. I was all of like 23 years old or something like that. And I think I'd just gotten back into Magic after like a 5-year hiatus. So this was a pretty good hand. Again, I took a 1-land hand because of Chalice. This is a great matchup for Chalice, I thought. I think this was a good one, right? Yeah, because they have the Swift Spear and a bunch of bolts and things like that. Yeah, that's what my train of thought was. I was just hoping that I'd get a second land, in time. So they abraded here, and I got real lucky, and boom, got a second vial. Granted, I didn't get a second land, but I did get real lucky there and get a second vial and just throw it right back out there. If I had gotten a second land, I probably would have been really tempted to just put a chalice on one. But, gosh, I don't know. Because then you wouldn't be able to play the vial. I probably actually... I hope I would have thought that through. I'm actually kind of glad in hindsight that I didn't get a second land, because I'm afraid I wouldn't have thought that through, and I would have just slammed the chalice on one and said, "Oh no! Oh no!" Alright. So this is a newer card that I wasn't aware of. Yeah, this is from M21. That's why I wasn't aware of it. Pretty cool little like storm eagle kind of thing. I don't know. Clouds are the wings. That's pretty cool art. I like that. But it's got prowess also, and it's got kind of like it just says scry 2. I don't know what I'm trying to compare it to, anything. I was gonna say, well, it's kind of like a preordained, but it's kind of a Serum Visions. I don't know. No, it scries 2 when it comes into the battlefield. Simple as that. That's what it is. That's what it does. Alright, so I got Waterlogged Grove and put out a Master of the Pearl Trident. Again, I did that also. I'm kind of used to playing against, Maelstrom Pulse and things like that. So what I do is I like to put out the Lord that I have multiples of. If I do have multiples of them, I put that one out first when I'm playing with Merfolk or any other, tribal deck that has a lot of Lords on it. For the fact of Maelstrom Pulse and things like that. And I'll play as much of a variety as possible before I play copies. And when I'm playing copies, usually that's when I'm going for, a heavy amount of damage or the win. And granted, I say going for, because, you can always get hit with Cryptic Command or, Path to Exile or, anything along the way. There are just a million different tricks. And I think they get a second one of these Storm Elementals out. What is it? Stormwing Entity. Yeah, I'm going to need to learn all the names in Modern again. Now, granted, I know old cards like Lava Dart. I mean, gosh, that's a fantastic card. I've always loved Lava Dart. So yeah, there's the second one of these elemental cards. I couldn't wait to throw that chalice down on one. Oh man. So I think they end the match here soon. I'm not sure. Actually, no. I think I bring in a Lord, and then yeah, never mind. They don't end it quite yet. I think I do take another hit, but I end up using Echoing Truth, and until the very end. I think I wait until the very last moment, because I bring in a Lord here at the end of their turn, and then I hold up the 2 lands. I play Lord and just attack for 3 here. And they're just down to 13. It's kind of, unsuspecting, inconspicuous, one might say. And then they just played Opt. So that's the way Prowess actually works. If you even with the Chalice out, it does counter the Opt, but the Prowess still triggers. So it got bigger. And I played Echoing Truth and bounced both of them. And so they cast the other one still in their second main phase, but I still was able to play Lord, and they have a Steam Vents out, so I was able to, crack in for another 8, and I had a Trickster for their other thing right there, so that was the end of the game. And Wait, I think that was the end of the match, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that was the fourth match. Okay, yeah, because I played Chalice there. Never mind, sorry. Alright, so fifth match here. Yeah, I was 3-1 here, and I was I could be wrong, but I think this person is in the top rankings of the modern leagues. So I remember just saying to myself, oh well, I'm 3-1. I've already got the 100 points coming back to me, and I get a treasure chest, and so this match is just going to be for fun. It's for butter. If I win, great. If I lose, okay, that's okay. So Utopia Sprawl is a card I love to see when I have Spreading Seas in my deck, and especially if I have it in my hand, because then you get to hit it with the forest, turn it into an island, and since this says Enchant Forest, Utopia Sprawl goes the way of the Misty Rain Forest. Goes into Le Graveyard. So I put out a Lord, and I was a little I don't know. What do I want to say? That's not the word ambitious. I was a little hesitant, I guess, to take the hand here with 3 Force Negations, and the beauty of it, I knew that during their turn, I could just use a Force Negation to cast one, and I wouldn't be stuck that way. Because then I didn't want to, have to get rid of a creature and, do all that. So what I did was just force the Teferi right there and move along with my day. And so I had the other force possibly if I needed to use it. And I think I just played the third Lord, and this is where I kind of overextended, and I shouldn't have. I wasn't expecting what was coming next with this, with the lineup of cards that were played. And I also didn't see Yorion. This was the 5th matchup, and they had Yorion here again, and I don't know. I just wasn't expecting. What was it? Supreme Verdict. All I could think of was Wrath of God. The Wrath of God effect here. I think that they play it right here, and I just get caught. I was kind of surprised. I was thinking, oh well, that is a way to get out of that. Because I was going to hit him for 12, and that was going to be pretty rough. Yeah, that's why I'm actually kind of stalling a little bit and hesitating. I didn't know what to do there. I was thinking, all I have is Trickster now. But I was happy to have 3 lands, 2 of them that can tap for blue, so I could actually cast the Force Negation, hard cast it if need be, and still activate the Vial and put the Trickster out, and regardless of whether it hits one of their creatures or not, I was just happy to be able to play both cards in my hand. Yeah, I remember the name. I was thinking, that's a way that you calm down in Buddhism, or I don't know. I'm probably misspeaking here, but something. It's part of meditating when you say the term Wusa. Maybe it's just part of yoga or something. I don't know. It's. I know it has something to do with meditating. Okay, so Misty Rainforest number 2, and they got an Overgrown Tomb out of it, and so this was kind of like it's like a 5-color deck, I guess, with Yorion. I guess that's the difference between companions and commanders. Companions, you don't have to play just strictly the colors of what your companion is. In commander, with your commander, all you can play is the colors that it cost and or are on the card. Okay, so they hit the Lightning Helix here, and I just said I don't want that to happen, because that would have been a huge swing. They would have gained 3 life. Gaining life is kind of it's just as bad against a burn deck as it is against a Merfolk deck, or bad for them. Merfolk decks don't want to see their opponent gaining life. It's difficult, especially if they're gaining 6+ life. That's tough to come back from. And so, if they were going to go from 11 to 14 and kill the creature, then they would have stayed at 14. So it was really kind of like a 5-life swing, a 5-life difference, not really a swing, but a 5-life difference. And I think that helped me out a lot in this matchup. So I think I draw just something else pretty good. Yeah, I hit the forest, and then I got a lord out of it. And then I activated for 6, right? Yeah, and I bring them down to 3. And I think that's close to the end of the game there. They just passed, and they made me sacrifice a creature, but I was still able to hit them for some. And I think it just took me an extra turn, but I still did it. Because I think I ended up getting another Mutavault out of it. Somehow, I think the next turn I got a Mutavault. Yeah, they helix, but I still had another Force of Negation. Oh man, that was just so lucky that I had that other Force of Negation. And bring them down to 1, got the other Mutavault, and I think that was the end of that matchup, or that game, I mean. So we'll move on to the second game, and this is the final game of the league. And this was a really good opening hand. I was very pleased to see this. I did bring in Deprives against this deck because they do seem to have a lot of creatures that I'd like to, not a lot, but they do have some creatures that I like to counter, specifically the companion, the Yorion. And I'm not sure. I think I actually end up countering the Yorion in this game. But I had a pretty sweet curve in this hand, and was able to put out the Botanical Sanctum, which is a great new addition to this type of deck, this archetype. Really happy with it, and Kamina Speaker is a lot of fun. I've always been a huge proponent of Curse Catcher, but Kamina Speaker, that has been a great addition to this deck, and in the past few years, ever since that pirate set. Or was it was kind of a block, wasn't it? Yeah, I guess it was. Alright, so they played Abundant Growth, and I was kind of surprised that they had Abundant Growth and Utopia Sprawl. I guess that really solidifies that they have a 5-color deck, because who else would want to play 8 of those 8 cards without wanting to be able to have any color available to them. So yeah, they played Godless Shrine with a forest. I mean, that's if that's not an indication that they're playing all 5 colors, I'm not really sure what is. So I think they just bring the companion back into their hand. I can't remember if they do that or not. Well, I think they, I play a Lord this next turn, and then I think they hit it with some kind of spot removal, and that's when I say, enough. I say, enough. And I just play Kira, and I say, you're not doing that anymore. But the opponent does have one really good play, where I don't know how they got all the mana for it, but they did, and it's in a few turns, and they get rid of the Kira pretty efficiently. I have to give it to them on that. I do have the mouse in here all the time. I keep forgetting to put that away. Sorry, folks. The mouse just keeps sitting out here. Duh. All right. So they did Fatal Push. I thought they hit maybe a Path to Exile on me there, because I thought I'd get the 3rd land out of it, but I guess I draw the 3rd land here. And that's when I just said, no more. No more, at least for a few more turns. Oh, Ridiculous. It is ridiculous, I tell you. Got the Kira out. Okay. So I think they just bring out the Windswept Heath, and then I think they have some kind of other ramp, something that gets them another land out. I think maybe like a growth spiral or something. They play something to get a fourth land or something to have 4 mana out by the end of this turn. Oh no, they just play a fourth land. That's right, because this is their 4th turn. Yeah, that was the end of my 3rd turn. Yeah, right there. Okay. So they just they get the Yorion out from their companion area, and they played the Prismatic Vista, and that was their 4th land. And this is where I was anticipating the what is it? I always want to call it a commander. It's a companion, the Yorion. So I was definitely just kind of telegraphing the deprive. I didn't really care that I was telegraphing it either. I just said, screw it, I'm going to keep all the lands untapped because the Botanical Sanctum came in untapped. If it had come in, it came in tapped. If it had come in untapped, I probably would have played a Lord. But I didn't want to do that because I just knew. Because I think they sack it here because they have to get a basic, right? Yeah. That's a great card, though. If anybody invested in that card in paper or online, they might have made some money. Maybe not initially. If they got a whole bunch of them when it first came out, I don't know. That might be kind of difficult. But yep, here's the Yorion, and I said, no sir. Send that on down 6 feet under. Put them down there. That was one of my misplays. It wasn't a huge misplay because especially it was at the end of the 5th match. But I bounced the Botanical Sanctum. I was moving a little too fast and I wasn't really thinking things through. So what I should have done was, either bounce the Cavern or the Waterlogged Grove, anything that would have come in untapped. But that was just a misplay on my part. Something that I need to work on and do better. So I think this is where they get the really good play because they have 6 mana coming up, right? I think they play a 6th land. And I've only got the 2 creatures here and only 1 mana available. Now, granted, I do have a Force of Negation, so, I can get around some things, but not everything. And so I think I do get a little bit more damage in. I get a Lord out, and since it's uncounterable, but since it is on the stack, they make sure to do what they do here, and they get a Kaya's Guile. And this card is so good. It's such a good toolbox card. It has 4 different settings to it, and they used expansion to copy it here while the Master was on the stack. So I had to get rid of Kira and the Lord of Atlantis. But I did still get 1 Lord out. It's just really slowed down the the damage here because they also gained 8 life along with casting the spell twice. I can't remember what else there is. I think you get you can create a spirit token and maybe like exile a player's graveyard or something like that. I don't know. There are 4 modes to it, and I'm pretty sure you get to pick 2 with each one. And so this is where they played Birds of Paradise. This is an 8th edition one. The 7th edition ones, just like the Lord of Atlantis, but the Birds of Paradise, the 7th edition, and I think the Ravnica editions, if you have foil versions of those, oh my gosh. You can't quite, buy a house or anything, but pretty daggone close. Pretty daggone close. So I just played the Reejerey here, I think, and try to bring in 3. Seeing as how they have no cards in their hand, they're in a good bit of trouble at this point. And so I'm just hitting them for 3, and then next turn, it's really going to be on, because I'm going to bring out 2 more lords, and so these are going to be, 5/5s, and I'll hit them for 10 plus. I don't know if I get another lord. I'm not sure. I can't remember if I get another. I think I do get a Master of the Pearl Trident in the next draw. Maybe, I don't know. I can't quite remember, but it's pretty good either way. Yeah, Deafening Clarion, and I said, no, sir. And I went for the Force, and they said, okay. And I said, okay, I'm going to play this Lord here, and I'm just going to draw a card and attack for 8, bring them down to 9, and they don't draw anything good here, I don't think. And I believe that's the end of that one. Alright, well, thank y'all folks for joining me very much for this 4-1 league. Modern Simic Merfolk, and you all can follow me on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all at Moontime Dweller. And this video has been brought to you by Mana Traders and OneLionCBD.com. If you could check them both out for me, it'd be much appreciated. My promo code for Mana Traders is Moon6R4. Again, thank y'all very much for the support and the help here. And actually, they did play an Abrupt Decay on one of my creatures on the way out. But, okay, that's the end of this matchup. Again, I really, really appreciate the help and support. If y'all want to leave a comment and subscribe, it'd be even more appreciated. See y'all around the bend.